So, this week, Paul Stanley releases Paul Stanley Soul Station. The album is called Now and Then. Paul, I hope it's not too self-indulgent. I wanted to start with a story. I moved to Los Angeles 4 years ago, and I arrived on a Wednesday. And on a Saturday evening, my friend asked me what I was doing that Saturday night. Just moved to a new country. I've not got anything on. And he invited me to the Sawyers Club in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the first artist that I got to see, the first show since moving to the United States, was Paul Stanley's Soul Station. So it means a lot for this to come full circle. But I wanted to ask, how long have you been doing this for? Because this is a debut record, but that show was already 4 years ago. How long has Soul Station been a thing and been this labour of love?
I think about 5 years. And how was it, may I ask you?
Well, it blew my mind, Paul, because I walked in and I've been lucky. I've got to see a couple of intimate Kiss shows. I was at Islington Academy and I was at the Forum when I lived in London. But walking in and you playing with no stage, with a brass section, and you were playing tracks of My Tears as we walked in. And it was funny, me and my wife were just talking about how unforgettable it was. And it's just seeing a different side of someone who is so involved with their musical legacy, and getting to see another side of you really meant a lot to me on a visual level as well as a musical level. So
Terrific.
Am I right in saying that this is a real labour of love, mate?
Oh, totally. This music, I grew up listening to every kind of music imaginable. I'm one of those people who believes there's two kinds of music, and that's good and bad. And the idea of listening to one kind of music, it's kind of like saying I love pizza, so I'm going to eat it for the rest of my life and nothing else. That being said, when I used to go to concerts, my God, the bills were so diverse. And that's really what I loved about it, which brings me to this music. This music now has been relegated to kind of being samples in rap tunes. That's okay. But by God, when you hear Motown and Philly soul or Memphis, when you hear this music, it's glorious. It deserves so much more than to just be a little snippet in a song. So selfishly, I wanted to hear this music, and everybody in the band. It's amazing because you have this band of every ethnicity, every nationality, people who've played with everyone from Stevie Wonder to Temptations to Whitney Houston, and all we want to do is this music. All we want to do is play this glorious music. So yeah, it's a labor of love for sure.
It's funny, Paul, the only artist who I've seen play this music live is Prince. And I was always fascinated by Prince's band and like what it must have taken to get into Prince's band. How did you put the band together? Because you say all of those names and it's mind-blowing to even hear them put out. But how did you put together an ensemble like this? Because tightness and knowing everyone's in the pocket is everything for this kind of music.
Totally.
How did that come together?
I'm so lucky. I like to say, the planets lined up, or it was God's will, because there were no auditions or anything. I called a bunch of people. Everybody said yes. And a lot of the people had never played together. And immediately it just felt magical. It was amazing, because there's some footage online of us playing the Roxy in LA. And we'd been together 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow.
So it's I think just the fact that there's so much joy and chops, that everybody knows what they're doing, but everybody's so committed to it. And we hang out, we spend so much time together that I think that's part of the magic, and obviously the ability of everybody to play.
What did it feel like that first rehearsal? Because you've spent this time, even when you were doing Live to Win and when you step outside of yourself, it's guitar, bass and drums in the main, some keys maybe, But when you've got those backing vocalists, that brass, what was it like with those people around you and behind you the first time at the microphone with that around you?
I was like, pinch me.
I
You know,
bet, I bet.
this is crazy. I mean, I know these songs, and my God, I'm in the middle of it, So to hear the Delphonics or the five stair steps or the temps or the four tops, all this music, and hear it played so lushly and so, it's like a wall of sound. And then I'm part of it. Wow, pinch me. It was great. And again, the chemistry started from the very beginning. That's the beauty of it, is everybody in the band just loves being together and hanging out. I saw Sean Hurley, our bass player, yesterday. I saw Raphael, our guitar player, yesterday. We were all just texting each other today. So it's this isn't a band that got together in the studio and then wants to go out and play live. This is a band that played live and then wound up in the studio.
Yeah, I can totally vouch for that, because having seen it, I've wondered for these years, like, is it just going to be something that like a handful of lucky people in the right place at the right time get to see, or when did the decision come to put this before the public? Because I mean, we'll get to how this is being received and how it's such a different side for you, but when did the decision come for this to be something that was to be put out there? Is it pandemic based that just made the timing right, or what? How did this come to pass that we're all getting to enjoy Soul Station now?
Well, most of the album was actually done before the pandemic. We finished it off during the pandemic. All of us, masked and whatever we had to do. But honestly, from the first time we played, it was just too damn good to not keep going. It's weird how powerful and how good it is. It's crazy. It's as much fun and the chemistry on the videos or on the album. When you see the band live, it's like, holy cow, man! This is like a bulldozer.
Yeah, the warmth of that brass hitting the air is a wild experience.
Yeah.
But you've been writing within this, right?
Yes.
And that's the shit to me, right? That's where I love that you're not just content to play these songs. And how was it to write for that? Because it's, Monster and Sonic Boom are the things that we've got in somewhat recent memory. But what was it like to be writing in a style that's not your own? Because you're Paul Stanley, man. Like, challenges are few and far. I would imagine challenges are few and far between in 2021.
Well, it's crazy because it's such a big part of my wheelhouse. I was a lucky kid. I saw Otis Redding live. I saw Otis in concert. I saw Solomon Burke. There's so much of that music that's part of my foundation. So when we were in the studio, I just started thinking, this band shouldn't just live on the past. This band should live in the present. The past should be the roots of what we do. So I decided, well, I'll write. And interestingly, I was in the midst of it. I mean, we were socializing, we were playing, we were in the studio. So it was really easy to write. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to try to write these kind of songs. It was like, I'm going to write songs for Soul Station. And the first one we recorded was Save Me. And it sounded so good that I said, well, I'll write another one. And then I went, well, I'll write another one. And at 5, I just said, I still want the balance of this album, the majority, to be old tunes, classics, and we'll go from there. So I didn't feel pressure. It was weird. It just felt like channeling. Well, I'm gonna write more of these songs.
Where is the line as a songwriter between paying homage to the past and doing something that's 2021? Because sonically, the album, something that I love about it is it's got the clarity and the kind of the monolithic feel that you get from a 2021 record.
Yeah.
But everything's like when those horns come in, it's got that real vintage sound to it. It's the best of both worlds. But when it comes to songwriting, do you write to pay homage to the songs that you've got on the record? Do you write for 2021? What I'm an overthinker, so you might just be a pick up a guitar and what comes out, what channels through you comes out. But what are the challenges for writing a soul record in 2021?
Well, I mean, you're right. The song, not only the selection but the recording of all the songs, really, it's the best of both worlds, because I think what you pick up on that harkens back to the old days of this music is the passion and the joy and the ferocity of playing this music. So that's where the link is. But yeah, the recording process is much beefier. You know, it's like that music on steroids. And when I started to write, it wasn't like I'm going to write in the style of, you know, it was just, I'm going to write more of these songs. And I was so immersed in it that it really was, I can't say it was difficult. It was pretty easy to write the songs. And although I wrote them on guitar, I had to think, okay, how does this sound on a piano? Because those songs were written for the most part on pianos. So that was my only thought, was how's it going to sound transferred to a different instrument? But it never felt like, oh, let me reinvent myself, you know?
Right.
Sometimes people say, oh, are you trying to, you know, reinvent yourself or switch gears or something? And it's like, I've always sung these songs. You're just not in my house, you know? It's like, you know, we always judge people, I would say, especially people who are in the public eye, we judge them by what we know. And there's so much we don't know. So although this is a surprise to, you know, understandably to a bunch of people, everybody who hears it just goes, wow. I mean, I have to say it's everything I thought it could be.
Do you know what, man? I was going to save this for later on, but when you talk about perception of you, Paul, one of the things that I love, having digested the books and things like that, is attitude is what it is. When I think of what I love about your work and your place in pop culture and all those things, it's attitude. And I don't think enough people know that about you. It's like the burning spirit of rock and roll that's there. And you do that with your social media, with having something to say, and you do it with a record like Soul Station, because people will want to naturally put you in a box, right? You're the star child, you're the front man of Kiss. Well, no, you're not. You're more than that. Do you think the world understands the sheer volume of attitude that it takes? Because there's so many people that are just happy to Xerox in their new record of things that sound like they've done before and off they pop. Whereas there's more attitude to your work than that, Paul.
I can't be limited or confined by somebody's idea of who I am. Your sense of my limitations are not my limitations, they're your limitations. And I can't live like that. And I don't expect everybody to love everything I do, but I, as a free spirit, free person, you don't want other people telling you what you can and can't do. I live in a world of why not. I don't live in a world of why. I do what I do because it feels good. And usually I found that if I do something that I like, somebody else is going to like it, because we're all pretty similar. People are similar. If you can get beyond the, oh, I don't listen to that kind of music. Well, that's like, well, if you go into it with that attitude, you're probably not going to like it. Just like if you go into a restaurant and think I'm going to hate that food, yeah, you'll probably hate it. But what do you gain? You gain nothing. I'd rather go show me. I want to experience everything.
Like, there's such a purity to that, Paul. Like, fucking, I'm lucky, man. Like, my life is I get to talk to people like yourself, songwriters, musicians, and I feel like so many people in the modern era are trying to work out an algorithm for Spotify or Apple Music or whoever. And what I love about Soul Station is you're doing it for the fuck of it. You're doing it for you. Like, it's about songs, it's about music, and it's about feeling good. And I like that as a marker for people out there to put into their art. Like, if you don't love it, if you're doing it with any kind of cynicism, people will feel it. Like, the public are nowhere near as like easy to be conned as sometimes this business thinks that they are. Do you think that's fair, man?
Well, I do think that, look, there's a lot of music that I think nowadays is being made that's very good.
Oh, loads, yeah.
But there is music being made today that is based on computers. And computers will give you perfection, but they won't give you passion. And that's what I want from Soul Station. Not perfection. I want passion. I want, there's something about hearing music where that everybody is committed to it and ready to kick down the doors and joyously celebrate what they're doing. You were talking about algorithms. Nobody in the day of, let's say, this music, when it came out, they didn't know what an algorithm was. When I saw Jimi Hendrix with Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell at the Fillmore and Sly and the Family Stone were opening, algorithms. What the hell was an algorithm?
Yeah, man.
So I wanted to create music specifically with Soul Station that was about people committing themselves to passion, to something they believe in. That's why every ethnicity, every nationality, Soul Station is made up. It's like the UN. It's every type of person, and we're all connected by this passion for the music. So, yeah, there's music being made today that I think is terrific, but the basis of it is usually looking in the recording studio at a computer screen, and seeing how things line up. I want to make music where you go, how does it feel? Not how does it look on the screen? So that's what we were doing. We were in the studio. We didn't beat those songs to death. We played them.
Feel them out.
Real, yeah. And then on to the next.
Love it, man. I love it. And do you think that's a reason that this stuff is timeless? Because the thing is, like, these songs, even the songs that you've picked on your record, right? There were, like, Let's Stay Together was brought into my life through Pulp Fiction. These things are ingrained in, they go beyond just the musical realm. There'll be loads of people that will know Ooh Child on this record from Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Mm-hmm. These big, massive landmark things that happen in mainstream culture still go to the well on this music. And I'm lucky, man. As I say, I get to talk to a lot of musicians, but I don't get to talk to a lot of musicians that have music that can be described as timeless. Right? When I talk to D, we're going to be talking about we're not going to take it till the world stops spinning, right? Like, there's certain people I talk to who've got timeless things, and you're someone that I get to talk to who has timeless music. Do you think that passion, feeling, do you think that's part of that thing? Because I'm a true believer, man. People know when it hits their eardrums. It's more than just sounds.
Totally. I think that the beauty of art, of music, is how it makes you feel. Not you don't think about it. It's something that makes you feel something. You don't have to know the language. You don't have to know anything except, wow, that gave me a chill, or wow, that made me, think of so and so. So, and that comes from, again, I think from passion. When passionate people create something, somebody picks up on it. It's just undeniable.
And to bring this back to the record and taking this out, how did you go about picking things to put in front of people first? Because nerves are not a word that I would ever associate with you. But when I mentioned that box they try to put you in, right? There's 5 generations of Kiss fans at least now, right? Like, we cannot be put in a box. Like, you can't say Kiss fans like this because there's fucking 5 generations of us. You just can't put that in a box. Nevertheless, when you are hard rock icon Paul Stanley, is there a different feeling that comes with releasing Now and Then that's different to releasing Monster?
Totally. Yeah. But it's just different facets of the same passion, the same love of music. When I did Phantom of the Opera, once again, are you changing lanes? You're trying to reinvent yourself? No, I'm just trying to be myself. And that means exploring and living in different kinds of music. But yes, Soul Station has a very different feel to it than Kiss, let's say, because it's such a massive group of people, and we're all championing something, as you said. It's kind of timeless. The music, it may have a period of when it came out, but when you hear it today, you're affected by it the same way. It's great. So yeah, it's the result of joy and passion. I don't know how else to put it.
And when I just want to touch on something that you've mentioned a couple of times because it's clearly very important to you. Ethnicity and representation within this group is when you're playing a music that is so it has so many different kinds of roots. Like, do you think of it ethnically? Do you think of it as Detroit? There's so much that goes into this. Was that a vital component of Soul Station? Was making sure the players and that kind of thing fits that feel? Is it part of it? Is it?
Well, there's no denying the fact that this music was the music of a black culture that grew out of the blues, and that being said, it's music I love, and it's music many people love. Look, the beauty of Motown and Philly soul, for example, is that it crossed all color lines. It was hits. All those songs were hits on every format in every radio station. So I think that the music emanated from a certain culture, but the beauty of that music is that it appeals to everybody. So there was the band fell together, and maybe it's a reflection of the music that the band is almost a reflection of the world. I mean, and that is a reflection of the music, that it appeals to everybody, and it crosses all lines, all nationalities, all ethnicities. We're the proof of it, and I love it. I certainly couldn't have foreseen it, but we're like a family. Everybody we love getting together, and it's a different, it's very different. I never could have imagined it, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it.
You mentioned Phantom, and I know that told you certain things about yourself as a performer as well as an artist. So what I wanted to ask you is, what has Soul Station told you about yourself? Now that we're 4 or 5 years into you being a collective, but now the record is out and people can digest it. What has this whole half a decade's experience with this particular project, has it taught you anything about yourself on that kind of profound level? I know that Phantom was a very special moment for you, but what has Soul Station taught you?
I think it once again confirms for me, don't deny yourself your ambitions, your challenges. Don't do that for somebody else. There's enough people in the world who will try to stop you from doing things or tell you those things are impossible. But don't be one of those people for yourself. When you see something that looks challenging or exciting, you owe it to yourself to do it. The worst that can happen is you fall on your face or you fall on your ass. It doesn't really matter. Nobody should want to be in the position where they have regrets about what they didn't do. I should have done that. I could have done that. Maybe what would have happened if I won't live like that, and I don't think anybody should. It's if something means enough to you that it occupies your thoughts, well, hell, man, go give it a try.
And I love that. I love it as a message. I love that that's something that's permeated through your work over all of these times. And something that really only dawned on me when I was thinking deeper about doing this interview is when I was thinking about you writing for this project. Like, with you on the road to the end of a farewell tour with Kiss, it had only just dawned on me that, as far as we know, you've written your last Kiss song. Is that a weird feeling? Like, when you're writing now and you're writing for other things, like, while there's still chapters to come in the Kiss legacy and all of that, in theory, Paul Stanley has written his last Kiss song. Does that change how you write, or am I stepping on landmines I shouldn't be standing on? You tell me, Paul.
No, you're a deep thinker, perhaps deeper than I am. I've never thought of that. I've never thought. I guess I never say never. So the idea that I've written my last Kiss song, I assume that's so, but I never even thought of it because who knows? I certainly don't. I'm enjoying everything that goes on, and I try not to get too deep into those nuances. I've never been asked that question, so gold star to you. Kudos.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Are you enjoying the farewell tour? The thing is, I'm lucky. I've been doing this for 20 years now. So I've had bands that have been friends that have had entire life cycles inside that 20 years. They've released their debut and they've done their farewell tour in that 20 years. And people have different experiences of it. Sometimes people feel like they're living their death every night. And other times they are there to embrace the moment and be in that moment. How are you feeling with it so far? Oh, technical problems for a couple of seconds. There he is. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to come back.
Oh, this has been happening all day. I mean, I don't know what's happening. We love technology when it works, and then when it doesn't, we're complete idiots.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the farewell tour, and
Yeah.
I would have to say, yeah, for me, it's a celebration of everything we've done, and it's not a funeral at all. It's this amazing time where we can spend an evening with this huge multi-generational group and know it's the last, and we can kind of reminisce, but also we can put on a show that pretty much solidifies and justifies why they've been with us. So this show is I think it's phenomenal. The set list is great. And will I be sad when it's over? Sure. But every night of this is a I hate the word bittersweet, because it's really not. Every night is a joy. It's us being up there, taking a victory lap. It's us with fist
Yeah.
up high, running around. We won, and we won, and you won.
Fuck yes, Paul Stanley. Absolutely. You mentioned Setlist. I had a question that is very much just me, me taking one for myself, which is when you put that set list together with no limitations at all. Like, if there was literally no limitations, and the thing is, you're doing Soul Station at the minute where your name is on the door, Kiss, there's a lot of moving parts, right? If you're completely, unequivocally in charge of Kiss for the day, and there's a song that you could add to that set list that isn't currently in there, is there anything, when you say bittersweet, is there anything in there that you wish you could put in there?
Oh boy. The problem with changing the set list for us, it's not, I was going to say it's twofold. It's not twofold. It's 20-fold. Part of it is that you have all these lights and all this computerized gear that's synced to, so that bombs go off in the right time. And,
Yeah.
and, so you don't have that flexibility to suddenly throw in songs. And also, I just believe that if the set list was great last night, it's going to be great tonight. The idea that maybe, and look, it works for some bands, but I don't believe that we should go out there and change it up just because we're bored, or that would be the case probably with us. I mean, some bands are known for nightly changing the set list.
Yeah.
We've got an enviable amount of classic songs, and for the few people, and they are there, who want to hear some obscure tunes, the fact is that most of the people there want to hear Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, Black Diamond, 100,000 Years,
Yeah.
God of Thunder. The list goes on. So when somebody says, "Oh, you're playing the same set list that you did at the beginning of the tour," yeah, if that's, you're right. And if you come to see us 4 times, I understand that's your choice, but you've seen the show 4 times. Someone else is seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
that's how we have to concern ourselves. So, and there's only so many hours you can play. We're not going to marathon. It's look, part of the reason, and the vast majority of the reason that we're calling it quits is because there's only so long you can carry 40 or 50 pounds of gear around, running around on stage. It has nothing to do with people not liking each other or people being tired of doing this. The fact is, hey, you can only do this for so long. If you took, I guess, Elvis and crossed him with Superman, maybe that's what we're doing. But
Yeah.
it does have a an expiration date, so to speak.
Yeah, man. Like I love chatting to you about how pragmatic you are about this, because when Kiss means as much, I mean, it means a lot to anyone who's got Kiss in their life. But like when it has literally been your life's blood for this amount of time, do you think that it's easier to have this level of pragmatism to it when, if I leave a job, right, or if anyone out there leaves a job, once you've made your mind up that that's the case, you're kind of okay with what comes next? Do you think that the emotions that people would associate with this came in the making that decision more than the hello Kansas, you know?
I think that at some point, for whatever reason, and most of the time it's just age, we begin to realize our mortality. We begin to realize that we're only here for so long. You don't think that when you're 20 years old, unless you have health issues. I think athletes reach a point where they go, I'm just not capable of doing it anymore. You know, when the boxer gets in the ring, the ex-champ, and he's ready to throw a punch, and he thinks he's going to throw it, and the next thing he's on the ground because his mind and his hand weren't as quick as the guy who he's fighting, or somebody, a basketball player. Everybody reaches a point where they go, you know what? I can't do this forever, or I can't do this much longer. And you don't think like that when you're younger. That's just, that's the reality. You begin to see, hey, I'm not here forever, and my body isn't what it once was. And, you can either be grateful for what you've had and blessed for all the great times you've had and what it's gotten you, or you can kind of sulk. I'm not here to sulk.
No, you can't have you. I wouldn't let you sulk with your back catalogue, my friend.
Well, good.
So I wanted to just ask about Soul Station Live then. So again, I don't want to limit you because you've already said like limitless. But is Soul Station likely to become a full-time entity in the future, or are there going to be many arms to what Paul does creatively when the beast has moved on?
I have no idea what the future has for me, because, as corny as it may seem, every day presents opportunities that you may not have known about. I didn't know about Soul Station, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But that being said, look, in this pandemic state we're still in, I don't know when Kiss will finally be able to get back out and resume the end of the road. I think that there's a good possibility that before that is a reality, that Soul Station can go out and play.
That's
Because
fair with where we are.
So I'm hoping for that. And when we talk about, well, what are you going to do after Kiss? I don't know. I can tell you what I'm going to do, what I'm doing today, but I don't know. Life should be full of surprises, and if you're living it properly, it is full of surprises.
Do you live for these opportunities as well, man? Because, like, I know bands that would rip off both of their arms and throw them into the ocean. Can you do that once you've thrown one off? Anyway, if they
use your teeth.
Yes, that's where there's a will, there's a way. So where there are bands that would give up that amount to be in a position where Puma will come to them, right? Where like a sportswear company will come and believe in what you are and what you put out so much. And that thing that something as global and as we know it, we know the logo, the full 9 yards. When it enters Paul's world, it comes out the other end as so Paul Stanley. Is that something that's kind of inspiring to you when you live your life that way? Because no matter what the opportunity, when you are in touch with who you are creatively, it'll all come out with a distinct Paul Stanley mark on it. Does that make it things easier to have that cavalier attitude?
You have a lot of great questions. You really do. I like that a lot. I find out who I am by how I deal with things. So every time you're creative, you get another sense of who you are. So every time I do something, it's kind of like getting to know a different side of me. And it's not like they're contradictory. They're all part of this. They're all part of me. So, well, is, Star Child, is that the real you, or is Soul Station? Or when you're painting, I go, yeah, it's all.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. It's all who I am.
Yeah.
And I tell people, go for it, man. Roll up your sleeves and give things a chance. Even when people come to art gallery shows, I'll say to people, half kidding, I go, if you don't like my art, go paint your own.
Yeah.
Because everybody can paint. Just because you set out to paint a Coke bottle and it doesn't look like a Coke bottle doesn't mean it's not good. So again, give yourself some leeway and you'll start finding out who you are.
Just one last question, Paul, before you go, man. Like, I touched upon your social media earlier, and I love the fact that you have a voice and you choose to use that voice. Do you think it's just an individual choice? Do you think that that's part of fucking, to me, it's part of rock and roll, is to have a voice. It's like I'm a member of the media, man. Like, and being frank with you, I became a member of the media because I like Kiss and I like Disturbed and I like Avenged Sevenfold and I like a million bands that the press shit on that I just didn't feel it was fair, man. I wanted to talk to what I felt were my people, and I think it's important. Yeah.
And there's more of you and your people than those other ones. So yeah, represent.
Is that for you as well, the thing? It's about having a voice. It's not about being timid or meek. And I love that a lot of what we've spoken about today has been about giving the example of, yeah, do it. Like, you do it. It's not about me and what I do tomorrow. You do it. Is it important to have a voice? Because so many people in a social media age are terrified of having a voice, and artists are terrified of having a voice. How important is it to have that voice? Because I feel like we know you through that.
I think that having some sort of voice in the media or the internet brings people together. And it shows people how much we are alike. Usually the person who tells you to shut up is only doing that because you don't agree with their point of view. If you agreed with their point of view, they'd be out there going, do it, man. The person who says, celebrities or musicians or people shouldn't voice their opinion, well, that's because they don't agree with the opinion. But I really think that nobody wants to, I don't want to show my stupidity. So I try not to speak about things that I don't know about. And things I do talk about very often are just about my feelings about something, not about facts. This is how, so when I say, hey, I just did a 25-mile bike ride, and it gives me freedom, and the world is still open even during this pandemic. Maybe I can show people through my own example that there's room for them to try things. I I really don't want to preach to people. I'd rather try to, if I can lead by example, I'm not doing it to be a leader. I'm just putting the example out there, and maybe it'll spur something in you.
Mate, I'm a byproduct of that example. So thank you for setting that example. Thank you for the music, and thank you for your time today, Paul. Soul Station is out now. It's called Now and Then. It deserves your time and attention. Please do go out and check it out. Paul, thanks so much. And I hope I get to see Soul Station again in Los Angeles when the world starts turning properly again.
You betcha. And you've been awesome. Well done.
Thank you, Paul. I'll catch you soon, man. Thanks again.
Pleasure.